makes it correct. And he calls us whatever that makes as well.
Ron? And your audio should be going. All right. This meeting of the Livingston City Commission is called to order. Our first order of business will be the swearing-in ceremony for Commissioners Friedman and Sandberg. So if you both stand and come up to the front. And Eric, why don't you come up to the front too and stand in front of them. One all the way up to the front. So we can, maybe we can get you on the video too. Right up here.
Good. Good. And so just raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, and then say your name, do solemnly swear that I will support, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Do solemnly swear that I will protect,
Support, protect, and defend
the
the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Montana,
and the Constitution of the State of Montana,
and that I will discharge the duties
and I will discharge the duties
of my office as City Commissioner
as my office of City Commissioner
for the City of Livingston, Park County, Montana,
for the City of Livingston, Park County, Montana,
with fidelity, so help me God.
with fidelity, so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now that we have two more duly sworn in commissioners, we will take our roll call.
Chairman Bennett,
I'm present.
Commissioner Holzer, here. Commissioner Friedman,
Here.
Commissioner Sandberg, present.
We will now have a moment of silence. Thank you very much. Will you please rise to the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Normally, traditionally, at this meeting, see you later, bishops. Okay. Normally, this meeting, we traditionally have a motion and votes for the chairman and vice chairman for the following year, for this next year, and also assigning committees to all of the commissioners. But seeing that we do not have a full body of commissioners yet, and we won't until the 1st of February, that's our time frame. I'm wondering if the commission is okay with the idea that we postpone it until we have a full 5 commissioners. And if that's okay with the commission, can we have a motion to that effect?
It is. State law does not require that the chair or vice chair be appointed within any certain time frame. City ordinance says that it has to take place the first meeting of the year, but with these special circumstances, I believe we're fine postponing it until we get a full commission of 5 members.
Thank you. I'll make a motion that we delay the election of vice chair and the committees until the first meeting in February.
Second. Okay, so there's a motion and a second. Is there any other commission discussion at all? Okay, roll call, please.
Chairperson Bennett,
Yes.
Commissioner Holzer, yes. Commissioner Friedman,
For
Commissioner Sandberg, yes.
Motion passes. Our first order of business are consent items. We have 2 consent items on our agenda for this evening. Is there any commissioner that would want to pull any of the consent items to discuss before we vote? Hearing no request, is there a motion to approve the consent items?
I make a motion that we approve the consent items.
I'll second.
So motion by Friedman, second by Hoagland. Roll call?
Chairperson Bennett,
Yes?
Commissioner Walker,
Yes.
Commissioner Friedman,
Four.
Commissioner Sandberg, yes.
Motion passes. There are no proclamations this evening. There is one scheduled public comment, but that individual won't be here till later, so we'll take that up later in our agenda. There are no public hearings. There are no ordinances to review tonight. We do have one resolution, and that resolution is resolution number 4630, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Livingston, Montana, authorizing the city manager to sign a standard audit contract with Thematics CPA Group. Ms. Lowy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a standard contract for the required auditing we have to provide annually for all of our financials. This particular group has been our auditor since 2010. We've had an exemplary working relationship with them as well as great results within our audit, very smooth process for us to work through. So we would like to continue this contract for 3 more years, 2016, 17, and 18. This would be a 3-year extension. This is a professional services contract, so it does not require going up to.
All right, is there a motion from the commission on resolution number 4630?
I make a motion to approve resolution 4630. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Second.
So a motion by Hoagland, second by Friedman. Is there any commission discussion, clarification, or comments? Commissioner Hoagland.
I do have a question. So I see that the price, the cost of it changes slightly. Did they talk about that with you as to why?
It's understanding for myself, I'm not able to speak to this evening. This is a standard contractual increase representing just usual increases in cost to.
We can't hear you back here.
Standard increases on the firm that performs this service for us over the course of each year. They have higher operating costs, so they of course pass those on to the customers in a small fashion like this.
Is there any public comment on resolution 4630? Any public comment? Public clarification? Hearing none, may we have roll call? We do have a second in the motion.
Chairperson Bennett,
Yes?
Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Friedman,
Four.
Commissioner Sandberg.
Motion passes. We do have a couple action items to review this evening. Action item number A, as discussed, approve, deny resignation of Commissioner Reddington and declaring a vacancy on the commission and publishing application notice in the Livingston Enterprise. Ms. Lowy?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You'll see the packet on page
Ms.
30.
Lowy? I think they can't hear you now. Bring it a little closer. It's just not, volume's not up very high tonight.
Is this better?
I think so. Can we be heard in the back?
No. It's really-
Thank you very much.
Thank you. You'll see in the packet on page 37, we have the email written notification from Commissioner Reddington of his resignation with an effective date of December 31st, thus creating this vacancy to be announced in our first regularly scheduled meeting after that. So we will be looking for a motion to declare the vacancy, fill the vacancy, and begin that process of advertising for the vacancy, accepting applications, and then reviewing those applications and selecting a candidate.
Mr. Coe, do you have anything to add to that? Thank you very much, Ms. Lowy.
I think the city manager summarized it effectively.
Okay.
Essentially, the resignation was effective 12/31, and the law requires that we start the process of filling that vacancy at the next meeting after the resignation becomes effective.
Just for the benefit of the public and for the commission as well, can you review the dates that we will need to run through in order to meet that state requirement?
Certainly, Mr. Chair. With the vacancy being declared today, we are required in 2 consecutive weeks to run advertisements. First advertisement will be in the paper on January 7th. The following one in the second consecutive week will be on January 11th. We will then close the application period on January 19th, which is within the 15-day guideline that is required by the statute. In the meeting on January 19th, you all will review all of the applicants that have been received at that point. The deadline will be 5 o'clock. Our meeting scheduled at 6:30. All of those applications will be provided to you for review. The week of January 25th, you will be required to schedule a special meeting to interview applicants. And then in the February 2nd meeting, which is day 28, within the 30-day limit that we have to fill this vacancy, you will vote on to select a replacement, appoint, and swear in that new commissioner. February 2nd, in our regularly scheduled meeting.
And what was the special meeting date?
It would be any time in the week of the 26th. We will just need to know from the administration what date is convenient for all of you so that we can publicly notice the meeting with sufficient time.
Very good. Thank you very much. So why don't we make the appropriate motions at this time, and set a date, that date that works for all of us. On the week of the 23rd.
Do you have to approve the resignation first
Yes.
to declare? Okay.
So we have to, our first motion should be something to the effect that that we are declaring a vacant seat on the city commission, and that we are acknowledging and making a declaration that we acknowledge that vacancy.
Mr.
Don't you
Chair,
have to acknowledge the resignation to have the vacancy?
Do we need to acknowledge the resignation?
I was going to suggest that the first motion be something from the commission to the effect of we accept the resignation of Commissioner Reddington. And then after that, if that motion succeeds, or yes, then you would need to make a motion that, or make a motion to declare a vacancy on the commission, and then follow it up with direction to the administration to post the vacancy in the Livingston Enterprise.
Okay, sounds good. So we're going to need 3 motions: to accept the resignation, to declare the vacancy, and then a motion to direct the administration to begin the process of applications for a new candidate. So let's start with the first one, which
So
is.
moved.
So we need the first one, which is to accept the resignation of Commissioner Ray.
I make a motion that we accept the resignation of Commissioner Reddington.
So accepting the resignation, the motion was by Commissioner Friedman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Sandberg. Any discussion, comments, clarification? Okay. Roll call?
Commissioner Bennett,
Yes.
Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Freeman,
Or
Commissioner Sandberg,
Yes.
motion passes. The acceptance of the resignation of Commissioner Reddington is complete. We do now need to have a motion that declares that there is a vacancy on the city commission.
I'll make a motion that we declare there's an opening or vacancy on the city commission.
Second.
So a motion by Commissioner Hoagland, second by Commissioner Sandberg. Is there any commission discussion for clarification? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bennett,
Yes.
Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Freeman,
Four.
Commissioner Sandberg,
4.
Motion passes. So there's now a vacancy on the city commission. Our third motion is a motion to direct the city administration to initiate the process of filling that a city commission vacancy. Do you have a motion to that effect?
We'll make the motion that we pass to fill that vacancy.
Okay. Directing the administration to fill the vacancy. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Friedman, second by Hoagland. Any other commission clarification? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bennett?
Yes.
Commissioner Holder?
Yes.
Commissioner Friedman?
Or
Commissioner Sandberg?
Yes.
motion passes. So now what we need to decide is on the week of January 25th, what evening, which is a public meeting, can we schedule in order to review applications and interview applicants? So there's January 25th, which is a Monday, all the way till January 29th, which is a Friday. Does anyone have any objection about January 26th, the evening of the 26th? Does that work for everyone?
Yes.
Yes. Commissioner Friedman works for you too?
Or the 27th.
Okay, the 26th does work for you? Okay. So sounds like the consensus is for the administration to set up a public meeting for the interviews and the with the applicants on the 26th. At what time? 6 o'clock? 6:30? 6:30? 6:30 acceptable to everyone? At 6:30.
If I may suggest, without knowing how many applicants we will have,
To start earlier?
maybe an earlier start time.
Okay. What would you like us to start at 5:30, 5 o'clock?
I would recommend 5.
5 o'clock. Okay. Does anyone have any objection for 5 o'clock that evening? Are you back in town by that time?
5:30 would work perfect if we could do that.
Okay,
There's a lot of applicants, I'll just be concerned it would be a very late meeting.
Is there a standard process for standard questions? How does this process work?
Well, let's make sure we're landing on 5:30. 5:30 is good? Okay, 5:30? Okay. Commissioner Sandberg.
Sorry, yeah, well, I guess if, as far as the time frame was, where I was alluding to is what, do we have a set of 5 questions we ask every commissioner candidate, or how does this process work? Do we have a rubric of some sort, or how do we determine?
With respect to oral interviews, there is no standard set of questions. We do have a standard application form that each one of them will fill out and submit to us, and you'll be provided those. But like I said, with respect to the oral interviews that will take place on the 26th, there is no standard set out in our ordinances.
So is it suggested that we come to the meeting with questions ourselves?
Yes.
Is it possible that perhaps the commission can agree upon a certain number of questions prior, so it's not we have some sort of standard process that for each applicant?
I believe we could probably do that the second meeting in January, our next meeting. If you all want to come with some draft questions that you would each propose, and then your group can, if you can come to a consensus on the questions you would like to ask the applicants, we could certainly put that as an agenda item for the 19th of January.
Okay.
Is there,
And do we have to have any type of scoring system to justify the decision that the commission makes? Or is it just majority?
It's just a majority vote.
Okay, thank you.
is there any other questions for clarification? So it sounds like the consensus is that we will provide a list of questions that we might, can't hear me?
I'd like to make a comment if I could.
Oh, okay, just a moment. So just for clarification, we're going to provide the administration bring questions to that January 19th meeting and review those as a discussion item. Okay, sounds good. Is there any public comment? Yes, Mr. Ebinger.
Bob Ebinger, I live at 128 South Yellowstone Street here in Livingston, Montana. And I just wanted to add, as far as that process goes, it's been my experience having done a city manager and other positions like at the museum. Questions have to be the same to be fair to all participants. You can't ask different questions. And if you bring another question up as a follow-up, it needs to be addressed with all the participants. Thank you.
Makes sense. Thank you very much. Okay, so we will have that as a discussion item and agree on the question floor.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
when we interviewed like the fire chief and other things, did we have a standard form for that? I don't think we did.
We did not at that time. There were standard questions that the administration asked because the administration did all the preliminary work for the interviewing for the different department heads and the fire chief in specific. But the commission at that time did not have any specific questions, list of questions that we all agreed upon to ask. Because by the time we got to that point, we were interviewing one candidate. We weren't interviewing a number of candidates and having to be consistent within that framework. Any other points of clarification, other public comment? No? All right. So our last item for discussion this evening is discuss, approve, deny urban renewal agency grant application from Guest House. Marley?
Arvamont.
Okay. There's someone who knows that was searching. Oh, the new name.
This whole thing's intimidating.
No, that's fine. But you probably have to do the microphone so that people in the back can hear you.
I'll start. My name is Marlon Pettit. I'm 1114 Ridgeview Trail. I'm chairman of the URA, and we have been working with the Guest House, all the Mira group since October, and have had several meetings with them and special meetings as well. We've been over many numbers, and they bring a lot of what we decided was some great stuff to the table, and we would like to support them in their efforts to get the guest house, or what will be called the Alban Merrill building back up and operating, adding to our community instead of taking away from our community. There's people here tonight, Richard Smith, Manny Getz, who can answer a lot more questions than we will be able to. Bob Ebinger is also here and has additional information that he would like to give you guys on behalf of the URA group. We did take a vote on this, and our vote was unanimous, and it was after much discussion. We did not agree to give them exactly what they have asked for. They've come to the table to say they would, they want to meet some of our needs as the downtown or Livingston. And one of those needs that we have in the downtown area is public bathrooms. And they have given us prime real estate within their building to develop these bathrooms. And that is a huge need in the downtown area. And I speak of that from a building and business owner. So I would like Bob to go ahead and add to what we have.
Thank you very much, Paula.
Once again, Bob Ebinger. I live at 128 South Yellowstone Street here in Livingston, Montana. Yeah, the public bathrooms were a big, big point for us because the downtown is definitely lacking that. As you will probably see in the packet and the presentation that was given to you, not only is it bathrooms, but it's public space for presentations for the Chamber of Commerce, possibly could put advertisements up. So it's a promotion that can be used as a promotion for Livingston and things to do down in the Livingston area with a kiosk in that area. I can't speak finally for the LLC, but they've also said that the common area, the middle area that used to have the swimming pool, they're considering that being a common area so people who come can actually have a place where they can go in the open air and relax, whether they're coming with buses, waiting for buses, or what the case may be. Ultimately, the idea is to have the buses come to the beanery area, drop people off, and they can use the public facilities and then be introduced to our downtown area. So it's even more than just a public bathroom. It's a public space. I think what also our interest is the URA in addressing what is the white elephant in the community for the last 10 years is it's a blight that's getting blighter. And this is the first attempt that's been approached to us, even though we've had conversations with the same people concerning other possibilities. But I think this is our first attempt to really get something done down there. It's defined building codes. We're going to be bringing the building up current building codes. There's a health and safety factor. Some of the facade has fallen off. The glass is broken. The maintenance on the outside of the building is a constant problem. And I think that that's not good for the appearance of the community, nor is it safe for the people of the community as well as our visitors. This, I think, will spur economic development in our downtown, where you're going to have apartments on in the interior, upstairs, and then they're going to have commercial on the downstairs area. So I think it's going to spur economic development, not only because they're going to have the people coming downtown that will be using our downtown facilities, but it's also going to be spur maybe other people to want to improve their properties downtown. One of the things you remember, it's on the tax rolls now, generating hardly anything, if anything. They've estimated for the first year after completion of the project that it will be $26,000 will go back as taxes, and that will go back into the tax increment. So in a way, the grant is being paid back because they're paying back the taxes, which the increment goes back into our roles as the urban renewal agency. We have decided of the items that they presented to us, the three that you see there, public bathrooms and lobby area. Asbestos, we saw that as a health and safety risk for the community, and also most of the stuff that has to be replaced of the asbestos, encapsulating that or removing it will be in that public first floor area. And the sprinkler system, alarms and controls, and security cameras that would be in the bathroom, we felt all that was part and parcel of that common space, and that was where we saw the value of putting our money into it. They also wanted some the wall on the back of the building, do improvements, put some windows in and stuff. And we didn't address that at this point in time. If they would consider it, and if the project does go ahead, they could come back to us as part of our facade improvement program. We could help them out a little bit on that. So that's basically what I'd like to say right now. We have people here that can address specifics to you for you. And it comes to concerns as far as how we're going to maintenance of it. I don't want to speak for them. They can speak to address that if that's a concern of yours. I might also mention that it may not appear in your packets, and it did appear in the newspaper article tonight. This is a grant that's given upon completion of the entire project. No money's come out of the URA, even though this will now be set aside as a restricted fund. But no money's come out of our URA funding until the project is completed. And as they've said, disbursements will be after inspection by the fire department to occupancy and subject to their additional financing. Okay, thank you.
If I may, before you and Carla leave.
Just one more thing, they will require as part of this, they will require a letter that we are committing this money to them to take to the bank as a bridge loan. So that is part of it that we will need in it. The banks are willing to wrap this up in a loan and give them a bridge loan until the completion, at which time they will be reimbursed from us that amount of money. So,
Thank you very much. I'd like to give the opportunity for the commission to ask any questions of the URA before you turn it over to Manny and Richard, if you wouldn't mind. Is that okay? Is there Commissioner Sanford?
And I know Jesse's not here, and I did speak with Carl a little bit before the meeting, just trying to educate myself before the meeting, but my question is the amount of funds currently in the fund balance for URA, which I think, does anyone have that figure? Oh, good.
Yeah, currently we have approximately $900,000 in the account right now. And this would be a commitment toward that sum of money. How much, I can't remember, what do we average? About $200,000 a year comes in. That's low for last year, but we get at least 200,000 is the low point that we use to supplement every year for the property taxes in the increment.
And then the tax stickers district is due to expire in 2016.
18. And we're now planning, we have a meeting this Thursday, which we've asked city commissioners if you would like to sit in on, prioritizing what might be a bonding situation for a number of other projects, including supplementing the CIP. So that's a meeting that's being held on Thursday, but our plan at this point in time is to bond, which will continue the TIF district.
And that would require taxpayer approval, correct?
No, it includes your approval.
So I'm not familiar with bonding that doesn't require taxpayer approval. Eric, can you?
Yeah, the only time with respect to urban renewal when you need taxpayer approval of bonds is when it's a general obligation bond. These are not general obligation bonds. They're bonds that will be paid out of the URA's TIF funds. So the money's coming in from the TIF district, not from the entire city of Livingston.
Right, okay. So you continue with the TIF funding then?
Right, so you can continue the TIF beyond the original 15 years, up to 25 additional years to pay off the debt obligation related to the bonds.
And so that just requires commission approval?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. I wasn't clear on that.
And once again, if those commissioners that would like to come to that meeting, I think it's at 6 o'clock. I think it's 6 o'clock on 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock on Thursday. I'm not sure what room here. I don't know what Lisa's planned for us, but we're asking as many people that are within that area that have concerns to please come to that meeting. You know, there's a lot of things we want to prioritize as to what we can fund, and a lot of it is in that PER program. There's a whole section on what you're considering URA should be doing in the bonding process to accomplish a lot of the things that have been talked about over the last 15 years, as that it's not really in the CIP, but that the URA can help facilitate.
So,
also, when we started the URA, we did it to so we could improve the downtown as the CIP entered. Little did we know that here we are 12 years into the CIP and we're on year number 4. And so to extend it also will keep us extended out so we can run along and continue the improvements, the consistency of the improvements throughout the plan of the CIP. You know, I think we all went into it kind of blindly, and I don't know, this has been going on a long time. I think some of our first meetings were back in 1998 about, you know, getting these downtown, not the downtown improvements, but all the street improvements, the sewer improvements, all this done. And we needed a way to be able to help fund that. And I don't think any of us was going to set in year 2016 thinking we were still in year number 4 of that CIP program. And so that's the other reason that we strongly believe in bonding, and we aren't raising anybody's taxes. It's the natural taxes that raise. They're capped at a certain point. We just get that additional amount.
Right.
And so that's one thing that there's several buildings under improvement downtown right now, and that's a huge help to the URA district, and to be able to put money back into our district and improve what is the heart of our community.
Right. So in reading the original plan from 2003, it coincided with a lot of the ideas when the URA was put into place, was with the CIP programs. And so I know some funds have been used for that. And I guess my question would be, with all of the people that, property owners that have contributed to that, and the existing plan that's in place stating more of the infrastructures of sewer, water, street, curbs, gutters, alleyways, et cetera, is what those funds were discussed to be used. What has changed with the URA to want to put this funding into a large sum of the funding? I don't think you've made that type of allocation to one individual before, into just one project.
To be honest, we've been looking for a project that would have some major impact on the community for a number of years now. We thought we had one going with the senior center, with the old Dodge dealership on 2nd Street, and that did not work out. So we've been wanting to do a project, because the urban renewal, we've been putting out small little grants for here and there, which are all good, because the business owners oftentimes cannot afford to do that. And I think we've done a lot of progress as far as facade energy efficiency and the parking improvement program. We help with sidewalks right now. We also do sprinkler systems for the downtown for fire prevention, putting lines in for that. But we've been looking for something to really make a statement. And this building needs help badly. And we felt that this was where we could make a mark. And it is a sizable amount of money. But as I said, unless the project gets done, you don't expend this money. And if the project gets done and goes back on the tax rolls, I think it benefits the entire community.
That answer your question?
It does. I'm just struggling with the idea of the original plan, and what the intent was for all of the individual property owners in downtown Livingston. And this is a large sum of money to a private enterprise to create a new business. And I'm not saying I'm not against business. I'm just trying to go back to the underlying issue of what is stated in that original plan.
Well, the URA was set up to do it with blight. And the blight in the community was a hard word to originally when we were presenting it. And blight can be infrastructure, blight can be physical deterioration. There are a number of things that applies to. What we have chosen to help with the Albemarle LLC is for public use. We're saying we're not necessarily giving it for private use, it's for public use. And it's for public use for something that's desperately needed in our downtown community, as well as doing what I said before. It's for health, safety, bringing something up to code, and bringing the project back on the tax rolls. All this thing generates revenue and increased interest on economic development in our community.
Are you done? Are you deal?
Thank you.
Is there other commission discussion?
I do. I have a question.
Hold on.
Carla, Bob, could you talk more on the sprinkler system alarms and controls, and why you feel like that is a part of the funding that you are approving?
Part of it is, a large part of that is in the first floor where the bathrooms will be. The other thing is, we feel it's a public safety for those that are visiting here and rent a place there, for the apartment people that are, are there and are renting from them. So, and then there's a lot of it's mainly in there's a lot of common space, and that common space is for the general public. And so we really feel it is a safety issue to, get that done properly.
So is that the funding for that entire aspect of the project? For all the sprinklers in the whole building?
I
All
believe
of
that
them?
is for all the sprinklers in the building.
I might add, just for FYI, if you have residential above commercial, you have to sprinkler the whole building if it's multi-story.
Yes. Well, and so that gets me to the final question, I guess. So is that necessary to fund the whole project, or is that a partial that we could fund partially? Or, I just want to understand why why it's not looked at separately, or why it's looked at together, and the importance of that, I guess, is my question.
I think we should ask the developers that question, but I don't think you can do partial sprinklers.
No, but you could fund partial sprinklers, and then they fund the other part. And I guess that I just want the public to also understand the importance.
I think if you look at the total sum of the investment these people are doing, that the URA felt that this was something that would be good to fund.
That's just what I was going to add. We took out a lot of the facade stuff that they were asking for, and awnings that they were asking for. The individual businesses that at some time go into there can come to us as individual businesses to do a facade improvement or an energy efficiency. And so those were taken out, but we also felt like we want this project to go. And that was maybe part of our step in saying, we maybe don't have to pay for all of it, but we feel like we're going to, because we want to get this done.
Doesn't the URA already have we have a sprinkler program? Don't we have a
The
sprinkler
program we have right now brings the line from the city to the building. The
Oh.
project we have now just brings the line in from the city's water source into the building. It's up to the individual building owner to sprinkle the building.
All right, is there any public comment here before with,
Can I?
yes, you may.
Make it for development.
Yes, I know. Yes.
Okay. Can we have that slide shown?
Okay, I'm hoping this will answer a few more of your questions that have already been brought up. And it's a little bit, some of it's repetitive in the sense that some people have already seen this, but there's new commissioners, so I thought it was important to give the whole context of the project. So, next slide.
Why don't you identify yourself?
Oh, my name is Richard Smith. I live in Four Corners over by Bozeman, 333 New Ventures Drive. So this is the project. It's at the corner of Park and Main. I'm sure everybody here knows it because you had to drive by it for so long, and for the last 10 years, it's really kind of stalled out, and little by little is becoming more and more of a blight. Next, and when you look at this, what everybody thinks of right now is it is a distressed property. It's been sitting here way too long, and part of the reason is no one's been able to find, number one, once the foreclosure and the tax, the sheriff tax lien and all the different ownership in it was addressed, nobody's been able to find a way to really make this profitable because there's still a lot of money that needs to go into it. And if you look at the application, the 336 or 63,000 is only a drop in the bucket of the funding that has to go in to make a project like this happen. So next slide, please. In the past, this is why we've renamed it. This corner was the Altamero Hotel, and it had the playhouse behind it, which is now the parking lot for the American Bank. And we wanted to play on that a little bit. And the lobby, we're hoping to put a lot of this historical pictures of the early portion of Livingston. Next slide. In the center of it, it was, Bob talked a little bit about the fact that there's a courtyard in the middle of this, and driving around it, you would never guess, but there's actually a very large courtyard. This is a project that I reviewed from Philadelphia that was done in 2014, and it was a blighted property, and believe it or not, the interior of this almost looks this bad. And we want to bring it back to a public area that can be utilized winter or summer because it's protected on all sides. Next slide. So the issues that we're facing to get this project off the ground are numerous, but just to break it down, number one, the building's been vacant for about 10 years and sitting there. Number two, there's actually quite a few different ownerships there. It's a condominium, so there's 40 residential condominiums and 6 commercial condominiums. And there's different ownership in every one of those. And so our first and very big effort was to try to get all those people together, because a lot of them were bought at the sheriff tax sale, and everybody had a different concept of what was there and what wasn't. Some of them bought them sight unseen, only to find out they got to come up with another $40,000 or $50,000 just to get their unit livable or able to be utilized or rented. And that's what was a shock to a lot of the people there. The next issue we've had to deal with is obviously all the permits have expired, and we have to submit new plans and code changes, especially electrical, fire suppression, and others have changed. And now what was moving ahead without any fire suppression system in there, the only way we're willing to really come in and do it is if we have to, or if we put that fire suppression system in. We met with the fire department numerous times. They insist also that regardless of what was approved 10 years ago, and they were moving ahead without it, it needs to have a fire sprinkler system in there. So next issue we hit real hard is asbestos. There's a lot of asbestos on the first floor. The second and the third floor, it's been encapsulated, so it's not that much of an issue. But that first floor, specifically where the lobby and the bathrooms would be, and the units to the right on Park, have a tremendous amount of asbestos that needs to be removed. That costs a lot of money. And I've worked with the state, but the state really doesn't have a funding process in place right at the moment when the project is owned by individuals rather than the government. Then pigeons have been a huge issue there, and we've spent a lot of time. We've actually already paid to have all the pigeons, as much as we could, removed, all the poop cleaned up. In some places it was 2 feet deep in there because that's how bad it is. And the problem we face is there's, the underpass has a lot of pigeons over at LRY, or the Livingston Railroad Yard has a lot of pigeons. There's people in town that feed the pigeons. And so as fast as we got them out, it's like they haven't even been removed. We got rid of probably 300 to 400 pigeons, and now they're all back because they're coming from all over town. As we got into this, cost estimates for the remodel just keep going up the deeper we get into this, and the more, we still have to get the power on and some water and sewer just to see what got left behind, because they cut the power and there was still water going in there and it froze up and all the basement got flooded, and this was many, many years ago. So there's a lot of unknowns that we still have to discover. The electrical transformers are in the basement in their own vault room. Power company won't allow that anymore, so those have to be moved up and out to the back alley area or adjacent parking lot. So we're working on that and working with them to accomplish that. Next slide. So the initial request with the URA was the desire that a lot of people talk to us about is bathrooms in the downtown. We are currently working with the condo association and to complete an agreement for the square footage needed for the bathrooms and the lobby. So we're a long ways down the line on that. We need to resolve the monthly maintenance costs for the bathrooms and long-term lease if the city's interested in moving forward on this. We're not interested in spending $125,000 for public bathrooms if it's going to be just for all the downtown. And it could take a huge impact or create a huge impact on the downtown, because now there's public bathrooms that everybody knows they can spend more time downtown. And then we talked about the new sprinkler requirements and the asbestos remediation. Next slide. I'm trying to speed it up. This is what we're looking for the bathrooms. It would be 3 women's stalls and 2 sinks. And then in the men's bathroom, it would be 2 urinals and a stall with 2 sinks. And then a lobby area. And this is right off of Park Street, right on the corner. The first door off the corner is where this would be. Next slide, please. So the total was, as you see it, the public bathrooms, the asbestos, and you know, we have to remove it, and then we have to do a lot of air testing before it's clear enough to get construction guys in there working. We've provided, as Carla has mentioned, detailed bids and estimates for the work to the URA board, and even after we get this approved, we still expect to be working with the URA and getting input as we move forward. And I've talked about that. One of the things that was done by Rob Gilmore with the Economic Development District, he did an economic impact analysis, and that analysis shows for the Albemarle coming online, it would provide about a $3 million economic benefit to the city area and benefit about 31 jobs. And he broke that down, as you see there, about 3 million in economic output, 1.29 in gross county product, about 867,000 in total labor income, 31 jobs full and part-time, and then 326 in capital income and 98,000 in the business taxes and fees. Next slide, please. What I also did is work with Rob's office to come up with a detailed review of the current property taxes, which was difficult because of you've got in essence 46 different units that you have to track each one of them, who owns them and how much they paid. And so we did that chart or that spreadsheet, and right now currently it pays about $7,199 a year. And working together and looking at what our current mill levies are, we projected the projected taxes in the future would be $33,183 per year, which is an increase of just shy of $26,000 per year that actually goes back to refunding into the URA's TIF to help support them. So I think that's covered everything. Manny had a few comments if you want him on lease proposal, because he's one of the owners there on the bathrooms. Unless you've got questions for me.
Are there any questions for Mr. Smith at this time?
Oh, I can wait till those.
Okay, Manny, if you wouldn't mind. Covering your comments as well. Thank you very much.
My name is Manny Getz. I live at 302 Old Clyde Park Road. And I'm basically here to answer any questions. Richard went over all the construction stuff. Some of the questions that were out there from the URA after our last meeting was what type of lease would be put on this property. I've spoken, there's 3 board of directors with the association at this point. And the conversation there was, we can't tell what happens in the future, but we're willing to obligate, the lease at $1 a year for 25 years. 25 years, we're gone. Everybody here is a little bit older, and we don't know what that situation will be. As far as the maintenance on the building, as far as the bathrooms go, there's a pro rata share based on the square footage that the bathroom takes from the other common areas. And our recommendation would be is to turn that over to the city, since the city's gonna be the one that's gonna be controlling the bathroom. And we'll get it up and going, but, for us to have personnel there to clean bathrooms, I talked to a gal today from the state, and the state has requirements for public bathrooms that they gotta be cleaned 3 times a day, so I think it's something, that we gotta be prepared for. Obviously, the winter bathrooms aren't as used as much as summer bathrooms, so I think that's something. I tried to call Jess today to find out what the city's budget is for the public bathrooms down in the park. We traded phone calls 3 or 4 times and then we got to talk, so I think that's one of the unknowns out there. And as Bob had mentioned earlier, and Richard, the board of directors has agreed to get all this work done ahead of time. So we don't have a situation where, the city and the URA are committing funds and the project isn't done. So we're getting commitments. I don't have all the commitments today, but our goal is we got to get commitments from everybody in the project that they're going to write a check for. I'm not sure what it is, $1.3 million.
Yeah,
$1.3 million. And my position would be is we look at this grant as a subject to that money being put in place, and also the disbursement of that. I think will be worked out with the city's attorney. That once it's done, the fire chief can come in. They can do all their inspections and make sure everything's safe. And I think one of the things that was brought up was the sprinkler system. I think the biggest thing about the sprinkler system is the public safety. It's not just the public safety of that building, but it's the public safety around that building. Because if things catch fire there, they spread to other buildings in the area. So the idea is to make it adequate that if something should happen, it's not going to cause any peril in any other buildings around. Is there any questions I can help with or answer?
Questions from the commission, Commissioner Sandberg?
So basically on the restrooms, the city's not gonna own them, but they're gonna have to lease them back with a discussion, as you stated, and they're gonna have to come up with some sort of funding to hire someone to maintain them and then incur that cost as well. Has it been thought of if you're condominializing the entire building, would there be a discussion of having the city buy the bathroom space and actually own it as opposed to maintaining something they don't own?
I think that's a discussion I can take back, for sure. Right now, the idea was creating public bathrooms for the least amount of cost. When you purchase and then you got that cost involved in it. Because right now, we take portions of retail space to create a bathroom, for the public bathrooms.
Right.
But I
I'm
think
just looking at
that's something that could be discussed, yes.
public dollar investment. If you guys all disappear in the next 3 or 4 years, we could be facing a completely different situation. Because I don't believe there's any way you can guarantee a 25-year lease at $1 a year, with regardless of who comes into, if people start to buy and sell their shares. And so I'm just trying to look down the road of what could be a potential problem.
And I agree, and I think that's something we'd have to leave up to the attorneys, to see if they can come up with. And the idea that I had run by the board of directors at this point was what type of long-term lease, and everybody said 45 years at $1 a year, because we're trying to get the project off dead center at the same time. And so at that point, I think the issue that came up was we do it 25 years for $1. How the attorneys put that together, I'm not an attorney, so I can't speak on that yet. But as you said, we don't know where everybody's going to be here down the road. So the idea is we want to protect the city, and obviously the condo association. This is the entryway is a joint entryway. So in other words, when you go into it, you go up the steps to the condo association, but basically the rest of it is all on that.
Right.
So.
And so you have approval of the 10 owners?
Not quite.
Not yet.
I'd say we have 90%, and we're working to get the rest of it.
Okay. But yeah, I guess that just is my concern is taking public dollars to invest in a project that we don't own, being responsible to maintain it, and then not knowing if we can be able to afford to continue with that investment if the owners do change.
Well, again, I think the attorneys, because I think that's a great question. I think there's many others. You know, what the city could do with it, if they decided not to do bathrooms with it, how that affects the building. But I think there's common sense between everybody to come together and put something together.
Sure, thank you. The only other question I had wasn't necessarily for Manny, or maybe you can answer it, but with the economic study that that gentleman did with the 39 jobs, that was hypothetical just based on the dollar revenue. I mean, there's really no hard concrete 31 jobs being created.
Rob is here, he can
Oh.
address that. And he's the one that did the economic study.
Yeah, my name is Rob Gilmore. I'm Executive Director of the Northern Rocky Mountain Economic Development District. In the analysis that was conducted here, what we used was in-plan-based data. There's only really 2 companies in the United States that create data sets to conduct this kind of analysis. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to understand what is the footprint of the economic impact because this project's being built. So if we're going to construct a building, have an ongoing operation, that generates revenue, that money goes to the economy. And what we're trying to understand isn't just the impact specifically to the building, but to the overall community. The 31 jobs that we're talking about are the cumulative impacts of the operation of the facility, the construction of it, and the jobs that are being touched. And as those monies multiply through the economy. I don't recall exactly, but I think the multiplier was like for every dollar that went in, it was about 48 cents of economic impact that was added onto it. And very conservative and defensible number. I don't know if that helps.
Sure, so it's just based on dollars.
It was based on, it's an input-output model. So what we're looking at is dollars coming in, and what happens is they multiply within the community. Every community has got a different business fabric, and it's how those dollars multiply and how they come out as an output.
Okay, thank you. And then my only last question, and then I'll be done. I guess 2. One is, are there any existing liens continuing on that building? It was pretty messy when the last project collapsed. And the other question is, based on, I want to see growth in economic development in Livingston, just like everyone else. But what kind of study or data was put together based on the need for more condominiums? I think we have places in town already where they haven't completely already sold and have been on the market for quite a while. And we have vacant storefront properties already. So is there really a need for additional retail space in downtown Livingston? Is that the best use of space that's available right now?
Well, we are hoping so. We've looked at a lot of different areas of what could be done with those spaces. Since we've got some energy into the project right now, we've actually had 4 or 5 folks come forward and they're looking at, purchasing / renting those spaces. So there's been a lot of activity on that. I try to figure out, because I have properties downtown that aren't in the best of shape myself, and I can't get anybody to look at them. But what I find is when something's new, it seems to be more appealing, when it's built and new like that than it is when it's.
So are those new businesses or people existing just looking to
No,
relocate?
these are new businesses.
Okay.
And that's where the focus is with the units upstairs. Again, Rob could probably speak on this, but I talked with several different agencies in Bozeman and throughout the state, and they're looking for economic areas where professionals can live in an affordable environment and start up professional businesses. Most of it is electronic, and that type of stuff. But it's moving this way from Bozeman, and we're hoping to capture that. Hope that the rest of the community at the same time.
Thank you. And are there any liens existing?
The only thing I'm aware of, I think there's one property owner that hasn't paid some taxes on one of the properties, and we're dealing with that right now. Everything else has been, liens are removed and everything's caught up.
So Eric, you would, if the commission moves forward with anything, you would. I mean, what that means when they invest in something where there's a lien on the property?
Yeah, of course, I can, I can check the property records, and I could also contact the title company to run the title report on the property in its entirety to see if there are any outstanding liens on the property.
And what does
But I'm
that do
not
to
aware.
investing in, with city funds with a property that has liens on it?
Well, I mean, if it's a lien just on a specific unit, I don't think it does anything because we're investing in the common area bathroom. Whoever had a lien on the property could only foreclose on that specific unit. If there's a lien on the entire building, that's a different story, and it could place the city's investment at risk.
Thank you.
Further commission questions and clarification? Is there any other public comment regarding this?
One comment in regards to her question. Right now, it is already condominiumized, so it's individual ownerships of individual units. And like Eric referred to, all that could be foreclosed on is that individual unit. And when it comes to a lien, the common space, as long as we pay our taxes and we pay our bills when we do the renovation, there will be no liens as an opportunity because nobody could place it on the common.
But aren't you, as an owner of a building, still a partial owner of the common area?
Sure, but
Yeah,
that
that's
has,
why-
that has nothing to do with the unit that the lien would be placed on.
I would think that if they were to go after one person, they could go after their share of the common space as well, because they actually, it's part of that condo.
Well, I guess, when it comes to law and litigation, anything is possible, but it's not very likely.
And condo associations I've dealt with in the past, there are individual unit owners, and those individual unit owners get like an equitable interest in the common area, meaning they're entitled to use it. They're and obligated to contribute to the upkeep of the common area. But if there's a foreclosure situation, any entity that foreclosed on the individual unit owner would just simply step into the shoes of the individual unit owner, in that they would take that equitable ownership interest in the common areas. They wouldn't necessarily be able to foreclose on that equitable interest, if that makes sense.
Is there any other public comment? Any other public comment? One thing I'd like to ask. Are you?
I don't know, are you doing it first?
Not public comment, or you?
He's just trying to get out of your way.
Okay.
I would like to comment.
Okay.
If I may. Late to the action. 426 South 12th, Gross Banner. What I would like to point out, I am on the URA, so just so you all know, I voted for this. We have a dead building at the top of our main street. It's been dead for 10 years. It's time to change it. We can choose not to change it, and if I was an investor in this project, which I'm glad I'm not, I'd walk away and write it off on my taxes and say goodbye to Livingston, go somewhere else and make money. That's what real estate people do. When you can't make a project work, you walk away from it. Now, that means Livingston would get stuck with it one way or another, just as an eyesore. Somebody probably paid taxes on it for a while. We'd still have an eyesore at the head of Main Street. So I'm most likely to be dead in the next 30 years, and I'd hate like heck to see that thing still sitting there 30 years from now, because it's not going to rot away and not being used. Now, as for the space that's in it, the bathroom space in particular is going to be new. And that new space could be easily maintained, I think, by city crews. Now, back in the day, and I don't know if they still do this, Clinton used to have a roaming crew that would be assigned work as needed. I'm assuming that's in the summer. My assumption is you could assign someone to make sure that that bathroom 3 times a day was checked and cleaned. And there are going to be new bathrooms that should be fairly easy to check and clean. Not that some people from other countries might use it properly, they might misuse it because they don't understand the way we do it. The park has some difficulty there. So there might be issues. But can you imagine if you don't do it, business people come to Livingston and they say, wow, look at the head of Main Street here. Why did they allow this one building not to be being used? Why are we allowing it just to sit there and rot? It's just not, doesn't look good, guys. We need to put that building online and make it valuable to the community, even though there's some public dollars at risk. And you know what? Long term, those public dollars are going to be well spent. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Public comment? Yes.
Patricia Grabo, 204 East Callender Street. I just want to mention that I've talked with all of you about an economic development plan and 2016 centennial celebration. This is such a tipping point for our community. The plan that the building owners in downtown Livingston said, nobody's going to do this for us. We're going to get together. We're going to unselfishly plan to boost the economy of downtown Livingston. We either are being born or we're dying. And so we decided to be born. We decided to put energy into this, put life into our downtown, and we encouraged what I'm thrilled about with the guest house. And the just 200 more people into downtown Livingston a day during our season results in about $20 million more coming into our downtown. So it looks like it's a lot of money right now, but what it generates for our entire community and for people making a living in our downtown is enormous. And we're hoping to do a presentation on this at the next City Commission meeting on the economic development plan. But we have 124 downtown building owners that are pretty enthusiastic about this. We've done presentations with the BID, with the Vision Livingston. We're all pretty much on the same page. And also our economic development specialist took a look at our plan and said, what's not to like, essentially, Katie Weaver. So I just enthusiastically support this and speak for so many people who do. I'm just so grateful they came along and are putting the investment in. And I underscore what's been said before. It will generate enough money to pay back the money that the city's coming up with, but it also will generate money for our businesses downtown. So we're very supportive. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other public comment? Manny and Richard, I think it would be important, or at least I think it would be important for the commission. Obviously, you both are putting a lot of time and energy into this. This is a project that you're putting not only your time and energy, but I'm assuming your money as well, into a project in Livingston that that you hope and are projecting will, you know, in a business model, turn a profit eventually and provide income. You both have been successful at developments and projects in the future. Would you mind taking 2 or 3 minutes apiece and provide the community and the commission some of the projects you've worked on in the past, and maybe a brief comment of why you feel that, you know, putting your time and effort and your livelihood into this project is meaningful, not only to the city of Livingston, but to yourselves as investors.
Yeah, I would love to. Again, I'm Richard Smith, and I've lived in this area for about 32 years. I've done a number of projects in the Valley subdivisions, but some of the key projects that I have done in the city of Livingston is I was the project facilitator for Andrew for the Printing for Less. I worked on that project for over a couple of years. You know, I worked in their business or kind of just lived in their business for about 3 weeks to get to know them real well, so that the facility that we built out there would be everything that they hoped it would be. I worked with the TIF and Dan Rice when we established the tax increment finance district for the sewer and water main out to the facility. So I'm familiar with bonding and what it took to put that together. A few of the other projects over at the Rebuild Center, the nice offices that are there and the shop spaces behind, we renovated all of those, which in those days, they were in very bad condition, and a lot of toxic waste in those buildings because of all the oil and grease. And we, all 3 floors in that front building, and then in the back building, we made that into warehouse space. They ultimately ended up buying it back once it was all remodeled and done. We've done a couple RV and mobile home parks in the area. And since then, I've been over in Livingston, and I've been on the county planning board. I've been,
Bozeman?
Yeah, Bozeman, on the county planning board in the Bozeman area, and chairman of the Impact Fee Advisory Board. I've been on the Water Resource Task Force, and I've worked with a lot of commissioners over there over the years. I've done subdivisions and commercial buildings. I've had a number of businesses over there that I've sold. One of them was Four Corners Self-Storage that has proven to be very successful. We started and built up the Gallatin River Highway, which is an event center along the river out there, and built cabins, tree houses, honeymoon suites there, and a lot of people utilize that facility now. So those are a few of the projects. My wife has a degree in architecture, and we've been a design build firm for many years. We probably built close to 300 homes over the years in the parade of homes, and I'm also very, very active in the building association. I've been the local president and the state president, and I work with the National Association of Home Builders extensively. And in fact, in 2 weeks, I'm a life director on the board of directors for the National Association, and we're meeting down in Las Vegas in about a month. So that's kind of my background. Manny?
Thank you very much. Well, I should like to say we brought Richard on just because I felt he was the best experienced general contractor in the area for this type of project. His history of what he's done, I think, speaks for itself. Most people know me as a car guy here in Livingston, but been here 18 years. Prior to that, I was a general contractor and developer for 25 years back in Northern Virginia and Washington, D.C. I built many shopping centers, hotels, warehouses, thousands of homes. And I decided when I got here, I'm not going to do that anymore because I didn't want to ruin the countryside of Montana. So I got in the car business, and it's been an interesting business, but several people have tried to get me out of the retirement of turning projects around, and I decided that the guest house, quite frankly, Rob Gilmore contacted me and said, what do we got to do to get this thing moving again? I did own one of the units in there, and as far as I looked at it, there was no life left in it, so I figured it would just sit there and use it as a tax write-off and go from there. But Rob basically got some energy in it and said, hey, why don't you see if you can put a team together to get this thing off the distressed property situation here in Livingston. So that's what we've done, and it's been a taunting situation because of all the owners on it, but I think we can get it done, and I think if everybody works together with a common goal to make that happen, it can happen. So, anything else I can answer for you, I'm glad to do so.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Appreciate you guys doing it. So at this point, we'll be looking from the commission for approval of the URA's recommendation for the $363,000 for this particular project. So is there a motion to that effect?
Is it stated that it has to be approved at this meeting?
No, we don't. But, would you say, Bob? Oh, can I say something?
Well, it's just listed as discuss, approve, or deny, is how it's listed on the agenda. I would be interested in knowing further what the potential financial impact to the city can be and what it's gonna do to the crews to maintain those bathrooms. I'm not sure we should be making an investment in something we don't know what the long-term financial ramifications are gonna be, even if we can afford to do it. So I would suggest just tabling till the next meeting and giving Public Works and the city manager time to come up with a guesstimation of what that additional expense is gonna be. And for Eric to be able to look into, I mean, what does happen if the building is renovated and 75% of the people sell their units. And now all of a sudden, if we wanna maintain those bathrooms, we have a $500,000 lease or something. So there's a lot of uncertainty and which could potentially just add more public dollars. And I think to be prudent that the commission should be able to understand that before we make a decision of what those potential ramifications could be. And maybe they won't be any.
Is there any time frame in which you're looking for your funding to go to the banks with?
Yeah, we had hoped to build this and have it done by springtime. And we've already lost a couple months going through the URA because the existing owners want to know that the city's in this to make it happen. If this, as long as this funding keeps, is continued, the project won't start. And if we're really going to be ready for this 100-year anniversary that Patricia has talked to us about and other business leaders in the downtown, we have to start on this project sooner than later. And the first step is the asbestos removal. And we have yet to sign that contract. We've got it ready to sign right now. But none of the owners are willing to move ahead unless they know they've got support from the city of Livingston. And I'm ready. I stayed here. Normally, in this stage of my life, I go south for the winter. And I stayed here to try to make this project happen because I've given so much and value so much the city of Livingston that I said, fine, I'll stay here. I talked to Manny and the other owners. I'll stay here and I'll figure out how to make this viable. And part of it is by getting some city support. And as long as you decide or continue this, the project doesn't start. And it's less likely that we're going to be ready by June or July for this 100-year anniversary.
Thank you very much.
I have a question. So whoever, Bob, maybe this is, or Carla, Shannon, or Lisa, I'm feeling the same way, some concern about the bathrooms and the bathroom situation as far as the maintenance and long-term maintenance, and what are some potential solutions? I guess just off the top of your head, you probably talked about it. I'm guessing at URA, it was probably a part of the conversation because it's a big one. What are your thoughts on it? Help us to understand.
We do have BID, which is the Building Improvement District, and the Building Improvement District does have limited funds. We do have a guy doing maintenance downtown for us at this time. They're aware that this project is going on to the extent that what we've talked about. We haven't talked in great detail about adding this to his repertoire of stuff to do, but it's out there. We're in a good position right now in that we do have that BID established, and that is the main thing that they're doing. Basically, the BID is the mall manager for downtown, if you will, and so that fits into exactly what the BID is to do. And so we don't have any firm numbers. All they know is this project is being looked at to happen. So they're on alert, if you will, that it's there. So I think the BID can play a huge role in this maintenance of the bathrooms. And I'm speaking for Carla Pettit right now because I can't, there's been no votes, there's been no nothing at the BID level except the knowledge that this project is going on. And then we also have Vision Livingston, which it has taken some great steps in the last little bit, and there will soon hopefully be a flow of money there that could potentially help out with it too. So I don't think the whole cost of maintaining these bathrooms is going to fall on the city. It would be nice if we had some city help with it, of course, but because like I said before, the BID does have limited funds. In, I don't know, do you remember how long the BID was established for? I think the BID is established for 10 years. And so after 10 years, we can renegotiate what everybody is paying into. And the BID is a self-imposed fee that we impose on ourselves as business owners, as building owners in the downtown area. And so that does have to go through an approval thing. But to get it approved, we really cut our revenue almost, well, in half. So we could get it approved and show what we have the potential to do if we have the BID. And I think the BID has done tremendous things for our downtown in the short 4 years that we've been in existence so far. I mean, the flowers have come about, the downtown, the garbage trash cans and benches and are being maintained. I mean, I think those are huge things that have happened. Our sidewalks being cleaned and our gutters being cleaned. And I think we have along with the city help, because the city, you know, sweeps our downtown area, and that's great. But I think the BID is making a tremendous impact in the downtown area and will continue to. And I'm sure they'll be on to do whatever they can do to help this project. And I sit on that board as well, so.
Mr. Chair, if I may, with a quick estimate of, assuming the bathrooms need to be cleaned 3 times a day, 7 days a week, et cetera, looking at our current pay structures, and benefit structure, we're looking at about $40,000 in additional costs for the city to maintain the bathrooms annually.
If we were to accept that cost
In full, yes, that assumes an in full assumption of that cost. And also, if the courtyard is also a public area, I don't know if that would require snow removal as well from a maintenance point of view, and that would be an additional expense. Beyond that, if the courtyard is also a public common area,
I would think the
City, yeah.
association would take care of that.
just for
That's just my.
clarification.
But there seems to be some consensus that the BID is part of their revenue would be legally used also for that type of activity. If there was some agreement crafted, of course, with the city and the different entities for the maintenance of that public area, that seems fairly feasible. Are we as a commission looking for those hard facts before we make a decision? Are we looking for, are we needing the exact details of that? Or are we looking for a general idea of costs and a general idea of how those costs would be divided amongst the different entities that can contribute to that particular space? Is that our main concern?
I think it's a good question, but I think it's something that could be in like a discussion along the way versus a absolute before the discussion or before the decision goes forward.
Yes, Patricia, is this apropos to this particular subject?
Yes.
Okay.
That's one too. Make a comment. Originally, the idea of the public bathrooms was we're the original entrance to Yellowstone National Park. We have 300 tours a season that go to Albertsons and then go south. They don't come into our downtown. And one of the main reasons they don't come into our downtown is we don't have public bathrooms. Those people on tour buses have to be able to get off, use the bathroom, and then if they use there's a bathroom at the guest house, they can also go over to our depot center and of course increase the revenue of the depot center in terms of tourists. And we are looking modestly at trying to cut into about a third of that market. So about 100 possible tour buses, which increases the revenue for our downtown significantly. So the bathrooms are essential to bring these things into being. And I want to remind the commission too that the tax increment financing is money that comes from people like me who improve their buildings. And so the improvements only in that TIF district, in the RA district, are that revenue that we generated by increasing our taxes is the revenue you work from. It's not from the taxpayers citywide, it's just from us. And the other thing is the VID money is, again, we're assessing ourselves because we want to increase the amount of flow that comes into our downtown. We're trying to increase the revenue that comes into the downtown. That's our primary motivation. So I just want to, and having run a condominium association for 10 years now, I can assure you that you ask great questions, Commissioner Sandberg, but my experience is that if someone in a condo goes in arrears, it has nothing to do with condo association. So the bathrooms are not impacted. We have had discussions with the BID about them picking up the costs of cleaning the bathrooms. And if you, for example, to approve it tonight, with the understanding that the whole issue of cleaning the bathrooms is a separate issue, then certainly that would be something that would be valuable to consider. But tonight, I would encourage this commission. I don't think the information that you're going to get is that much more significant. We've been working at this for a long time. Those of us who really worked on it. We don't see those flaws, but I would encourage you to consider it tonight because this has been put on hold for some time. So thank you so much. If you have any other questions for you about condos, I think I can answer them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Patricia. So I just want to make sure that we're clear about what we need from the administration in order to make this decision. Are we needing general costs for cleaning the common area, the restrooms, for a year's period or a season's period? And if so, that's just a general estimate, guesstimate based on personnel costs.
Correct, and that's certainly something I would want to have the opportunity to speak with Jesse Hogue about.
Sure. To
validate those
refine that,
figures
yeah.
and find that number. And my question then would be too, is then where do you find that fund in the budget? I mean, last time I checked, we were 50,000 in the hole this year, so that's another budget adjustment each year that you have to take into account.
50,000 in which fund?
Overall, just referring to.
Those were the funds that we made adjustments to out of the general fund based on. No, that reserve. Yeah, resetting our reserve based on some of the revenues.
And some of the overages that we had in the prior.
That's right. Yeah. So we made those adjustments.
I seem to be the only one who is requesting this information, so.
I just want to make sure we're clear about what we're.
My concern is, I think public restrooms are a need. I understand how the tax increment district works and the fact that those funds are coming from the property owners downtown, but there are a lot of property owners downtown. And these funds are going to one area. That is my concern, and the potential of no guarantee on lease. And then if something happens with the if they install the bathrooms and they weren't installed correctly, and we have, who's in charge of, you know, repairing them? Is that the city, or is that the condo association? So I seem to be the one with the questions. If I'm going to be asked to vote tonight, I'm going to deny, because I would rather have this information, but I am only one of four, so if everyone else is ready to vote.
I'm
those-
interested in clarifying because I want to make sure we're clear about what we're asking the administration, what information we're asking the administration to get for us. I believe that we could drag this on for another month if we get information and we have further questions. You know, if we're then looking for a general agreement between the city, the URA, and the BID as far as maintenance costs for this particular concept. You know, we may drag it on where they can't even start this project here this season. I
don't understand. I'm sorry. Sorry. I just wanted a clarification on what you said.
Okay.
With the, and maybe it just keeps coming up, so I'm sorry, when you mentioned it, it reminded me of, why is it that this project can't start until you receive the city funding? Why is that this small component so crucial to not allow you to begin your project already?
There's a lot of funding that's required for a project like this, and part of that funding is contingent on us finding a certain amount of money because of the discussions we've had with the city of Livingston and the URA and everybody in the city. It's contingent on their support. And banks right now, they're willing to fund us on some of this, but not all of it. And that's why they want to see some other support. And especially many of them are saying, fine, you know, don't put the bathrooms in, don't do some of the things that are required, and we'll agree to move forward. Again, there's a lot of condo association members also that are not real keen on the amount of money that it's going to take to make this project happen. So everything is a component and a basket that has to be brought together so that the project can move forward. If you're missing one or two of those baskets, there's a lot of people that are just saying, well, maybe it's not worth it, and I'll just take the tax one.
I have a question based on that then. So have people been comfortable, the investors, banks, comfortable with the fact that the URA did not support the full request and it's only about half?
Well, I'd have to let Manny answer that.
I would say that the stuff that was submitted to the URA were actually ideas and stuff that came throughout the community. It wasn't projects that the association needed to do. The association can go in there and finish the project, not put the bathrooms in, which, you know, the opportunity is to get bathrooms in the city of Livingston. And the big stepping stone, and I don't want to get off the bathrooms, but you know, is getting the asbestos, like Richard said. The rest of the project cannot start until that asbestos is removed. So, like a lot of jobs have phases, you can do this phase and that phase. The asbestos is a public health situation, so that's got to go in there and that's got to be dealt with immediately before we do anything on any other part of the project. That's got to come out. So we've been trying to figure out how to juggle this, and basically what we're looking at is trying to get a commitment. You know, the money's not coming out of the city until the work is done. You know, I heard this, you know, a comment, well, what if the thing goes bust? Well, it goes bust, you don't have bathrooms. So you don't have to worry about the maintenance on that. So I think the key there is trying to get a commitment, you know, that we're all in this together, and then we can go to the bank and say, okay, you know, they're willing to do the bathrooms. We're willing to put the space up for the bathrooms because we're taking equity in the project to put into these bathrooms. And, you know, our situation is with the bathrooms in there, we fill a niche for the city, and it's a win-win for both of us. And in return, you know, there's some help with the asbestos, you know, that's in the project, and it also does the sprinkler system, which is part of public safety, you know, as I said earlier. So I don't know if I answered your question there.
If I may, from what I heard, you both saying earlier that the bridge loan was also contingent upon commitment from the city for these funds. And that was one of the key elements.
Well, we would take the letter from the city and take it to the bank to fund these items. And when they're completed and inspected, you know, then the funds would be released. And that could be 5 months from now. It could be 3 months from now. You know, I don't know how long that's going to take. Richard planned this thing out as a 6-month project. We were starting in November, and our goal was to try to appease a lot of the business owners and folks that we talked to in the city to get public bathrooms here by July 1st, so we could meet the excitement that's going to happen in Livingston this summer and have public bathrooms. Otherwise, as I said, the president would come to Livingston and no public bathrooms for anybody to go to. So all we're trying to do is push this stuff ahead. And if we get it delayed, it means he can't get started. And if we get a commitment, at least he can start scheduling, even though the work's not going to be done until we get certain phases of it done.
You still have the floor, and I have questions for the URA. And that is, we are looking at a larger amount of money. You obviously considered it in the overall scheme of your charge as the URA, and have voted on it based on you know, some study and some, you know, the overall effect on the business district itself, on the TIP district itself. I know that we've approved a lot of different programs for the URA through the years. We've, you know, the facade program, the sprinkler program, the sidewalk program, and now the building owners are coming forward with another program for assistance, which would be the vaulting. I'm assuming that's something that will be put into the mix. With this amount of funds going to this particular project and all the other charges that you've kind of accepted and initiated along the way, do you feel that the funds will still be available for the business owners, especially getting back to the kind of the original intent of, you know, helping to curb the cost to building owners for sidewalks?
I'm glad you asked that question.
Yeah.
Because Bob Evinger, again, I talked to Jesse this afternoon and got it all clarified to me. The bonding process, when we bond to help the CIP, totals $1.8 million. You may not fund all that. There may be a few things we don't fund, but in that is all the sidewalks and all the other amenities that we would, if we weren't bonding, we'd be asked for to pay for, but they're covered. The only things that aren't covered right now, which would be coming out of our annual allotment, would be the facade, the energy efficiency, and parks, the park program we have, the sprinkler systems, all the sidewalks, all that is covered, will be covered by the bonding. So we have the money to do the rest of the programs. And the 900,000, taking this much out of that still gives us plenty of money to fund those and additional projects. But I have checked with her, and she's trying to come on Thursday to that meeting to clarify a lot of the stuff as far as the bonding. I have asked the city, Matt, to come up with an estimate as to what, breaking down what some of those PER things that are requested by the URA, so we can see what may be taken out. But at this point in time, that's going to be something we'll be discussing on Thursday. I think here we're kind of missing the boat in a way. We have a 10-year deteriorating structure that is defining our town for people who come here. And this is the first project that has come to us with qualified people that have a background in this in order to get this project done. Our money compared to the $3 million project that they're committing to, and the people are committing to taking a loan from the bank, makes ARCA a part of that. And I think we need to participate in this program. I think that's why the URA decided we weren't going to give them all the amount, which there were other parts of that project that fall within our purview that we could legitimately under the URA have funded. We chose these because they were a major public interest as far as URA was concerned. I think I agree with Commissioner Hoagland that I would say that the best thing to do would be to go forward and then let's pursue whatever contract that has to be done, because that could take months. You don't have months. So I think we really need to commit ourselves to the downtown and commit ourselves to getting that building back in shape, back on the tax records, and be a respectable corner for the downtown historic district.
Thank you very much. One last question I have for you. We're getting older and later in the evening, I forgot it. But it had oh, I know what it is now. So the funds that we're still going to have in our reserves, the amount that comes in every year, the potential of bonding is going to still allow the business district the revenues in order to meet our commitments that we've already made. And from what
According
I
to
hear,
Jesse, yes.
yes. From what I'm hearing, you're saying is yes. Okay, good. Carla?
That was one of our main concerns when we went through this whole process, was we weren't going to do this project and not be able to do everything else that we want to do. If that was the case, we were all voting against it. And so, I mean, we did go through with Jesse, you know, what was this going to mean to us? And that's why we started to speak with the bonding people out of Bozeman that the city works with to make sure that, you know, we can do the projects that we have set up to do and do them well and still do this project. And when all the answers were yes, then it was a majority vote by the URA to go ahead and fund this. And, you know, I will say at the beginning, I didn't know who Richard Smith was. And at the beginning, I didn't really know who Manny Gates was either until we started looking into things and working with these people. And I believe if we are to get the guest house back in good shape and back on the tax roll, now is the time to do it.
All right, thank you very much.
Could I answer your question?
Bob Evinger again. Yeah, I also checked when checking with Jesse. The bonding is not based on any amount of money that we have in reserves. It's a totally independent thing. So the debt service on that does not bind anything that we have, nor the one that we have already.
And it's very conservative.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I yield. Commissioner Friedman?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, one of the great things that I've been talking about for 4 years of economic development is family drops in our land. We've got a couple bathrooms standing in the way. I mean, really, this is a lot of money involved, and we've got the smaller portion of it. There's some way we can work it. I mean, I was in a contracted business for cleaning. To clean a couple of bathrooms is not a big deal. But there are so many other people who are willing to participate in this. I don't feel we're going to get stuck with this in any good way. So the more we delay, the less chance we have. So this is a big commitment, and a lot of people are putting their necks out there more than we are. So we've missed a few projects here the last couple of years. And we really have to. We got to step up and bite the bullet.
Mr. Spanring.
Bill Spanning, 426 South 12. Thank you, Mel. Now, consider this. These bathrooms could be bid out to local contractors that do cleaning, that have cleaning teams, and they can do it for way less than $40,000, trust me. The other thing is you got an experienced contractor, and he, I think the city of Livingston still has him has a building, isn't Woodall our building guy, really, we're gonna possibly build bathrooms that aren't gonna work and we're gonna have to go in and fix them? Come on, really? We got an experienced contractor, we have codes that have to be met nowadays, we have to buy building permits. Guys, this is a blight. This is truly what the URA was designed to take care of. A blight at the top of Main Street. Let's get this over with. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Joe Bauman, 109 West Lewis, which is the senior center. And I walk around downtown a whole lot. The one thing that I get disgusted by is going around the corner of Main and Park Street. And the snow hasn't been plowed on that. I think it finally did a little bit or else it got cranked down. But it would mean so much to the city to have that corner built up. If it's public bathrooms in there, well, being an old man, I appreciate that too. But I think it's something, from what I've listened to here, it's something that would really be good for the town and something to go with. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hey, Commissioner Hoagland.
I think we just need to move forward as far as, are we going to discuss, which we did, approve or deny? And I think I want to make a motion that we approve this grant supported by URA.
All right, we have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. So, motion by Hoagland, second by Friedman. Right, yeah, that's right. Okay, good. I got that backwards for a second. All right, any other further discussion, clarification? Before we vote. Any other public comment? Roll call, please.
Chairperson Bennett,
Yes.
Commissioner Hopper,
Yes.
Commissioner Friedman,
Four.
Commissioner Sanford,
Again.
Motion passes. We're at the end of our agenda. Thank you all for your kind attention tonight. Really appreciate it. Very good questions, good discussion.
So we have one more.
No, we do have one more. I was gonna say we're at the end of our agenda, but we have, I want to make sure new people are gonna get out, so I wanted to thank them for attending tonight. We did postpone our scheduled public comment for the Livingston Youth Soccer Association, Jeff Dickerson. We'll take that up at this time.
Thank you, Jeff Dickerson, Livingston Youth Soccer Association, PO Box 556 in Livingston, Montana. Not sure, was the letter in your packet?
It was it was put in our inboxes earlier today.
So we're good. Get that information?
I was very happy.
Do you want to read it?
Thank you.
Real quick, it's only a few paragraphs, a couple paragraphs.
Yes, it will.
Okay. Anyone like their copy?
With the City of Livingston and Livingston Youth Soccer Association and continuing their cooperative relationship to build a new city park on the north side of Livingston. Waiver of
Excuse me,
all.
Jeff, I'm sorry. Can the people in the hallway continue your conversations otherwise, or close the door? Other place?
Would you like me to start from the top?
Please, I'm sorry about that.
So letter to Livingston Commission dated December 29th, 2015 from Livingston Youth Soccer Association. With the City of Livingston and Livingston Youth Soccer Association continuing their cooperative relationship to build a new city park on the north side of Livingston. The waiver of all impact fees and construction permit costs is being requested. Providing this waiver is an important option that allows the City of Livingston to help facilitate the development of additional park space and a support building for this park. Once completed, this critical phase of the Northside Park and Soccer Fields project will add the ability to provide needed income to cover park maintenance costs, full-service public bathrooms, and needed maintenance equipment storage. Additionally, the field house will improve the economic impact that we have in the community, currently estimated to provide nearly $425,000 annually to our small business in Livingston through the increased capacity to host soccer tournaments and community events. So we are in a position that phase 3, as we call this portion of the park, is about to be let out for bid advertising in the next couple of weeks. I will be back next meeting. I think we already are on the agenda, or we talked about being on the agenda to ask for the bids to be allowed to be advertised for this project. This is one of the cogs of the wheel to get approved so we can move forward.
So did we have an estimate what that waiver cost was going to be?
We do, Mr. Chair. For this project, the impact fees are estimated to be $7,427.92. Estimated construction cost of $650,000, which I believe was the last estimate we were provided.
Let's have that number again.
650,000
Yeah, that's correct.
in that ballpark. Again, approximate depending on those estimates. That fee, the permit cost would be $6,511.31 for a total waiver request of $13,939.23.
So that number is 13 what?
13,939 with 23 cents.
And normally that money would go into the which budget would that go? Which Jim's budget's name of it again? The planning department?
The impact fees, I mean,
Impact fees.
we have street, police, fire, parks.
Okay. And what type of fees do we collect every year in that particular fee? That particular fund?
Well, I think last year it was quite an increase due to the hospital project, but you know, typically it's housing development and commercial development driven.
And housing has increased slightly
It has.
over the last few years. And Jim's not here, we don't know what that budget is.
Jim is up.
All right, we have a request for a fee waiver in front of us. Is there any commission discussion, clarification? Commissioner Sandberg?
I was in Jeff's shoes about 4 years ago, requesting the same thing when we renovated the high school to the tune of $80-some-odd thousand and was denied that waiver. And I'm just kind of curious. I don't think anybody here was there. I was trying to recollect why we were denied, but we were denied and paid it. Not saying that's right, or we should deny Jeff, but I'm wondering, and I know Jim's not here, but what the reasoning was.
Well, I think I'm the only commissioner that was here at that time.
Oh, you were here, okay.
Yeah, I was here. And you're gonna jog my memory why that was denied. I know that the city manager at the time, he's not here. So the city attorney at the time, he's new commission. So you're gonna go on some very vague recollection on my part. And from what I remember, the impact had to do with, can you refresh my memory on the list of things that impact fees go to? Either Shannon, can you?
Streets, police, fire, and parks, and water and sewer.
And it was basically, from what I recollect, it was basically based on all those factors: police, fire, and the streets mainly. And, the impact of the city building improvements to the school.
Right, which we weren't increasing our footprint, so there was no additional impact. But my only statement would be is, it would be interesting, I don't know how the commission reviews things such as impact fees, maybe that's through building, but that might be something interesting to look at in regards as far as other municipalities, nonprofits, et cetera. you know, do we treat everyone the same or do we have different options depending on the funding of the project? I just, sorry, throwing it out there.
The only thing that I would say as far as the difference, is you have a governmental agency, the schools, that doesn't have a revenue stream, whereas the LYSA is a nonprofit volunteer organization that is providing the city with 18, 20 acres of new parkland.
Correct.
Basically, on their own dime, and they're providing a new $650,000 building
Correct.
project that they're asking for a $13,000 waiver on, that will bring additional revenue. I think the difference, Gene, in my mind, of all volunteer organization as compared to a hospital that we didn't waive fees on, and a school which we didn't waive fees on. They both are revenue generating. They have revenues where the Livingston Youth Soccer Association is not operating to generate revenues. None of their members are compensated, with the exception of referees, from what I remember, some coaches, which is a very small amount per year. So that's where I would see the main difference in my mind.
Comment, please.
Absolutely.
The primary difference here is that the city of Livingston owns this property, as soon as Livingston Youth Soccer Association writes you the check to pay for the development of this park. So that's the difference, in my opinion. Has nothing to do with anything else. This is your project, your land, you will own it. We have agreements on how we take care of it for the next 20 years with a 20-year automatic renewal. So we've got a 40-year renewable platform that's now been used to develop other projects. It's what you guys use. So the big difference here is we're the checkbook. We're asking you to save us some fundraising so you can own this new project.
Well put. I think that's better than what I did. Yeah.
We'll add that the building maintenance will be covered by the soccer club, and that's in the contract, including the bathrooms.
There is commission discussion. Any other clarification, commissioners?
I do have something.
Commissioner Holman.
Here's another project that I think is very community-based. It's important to not just children who use it, but the community in general, and adding open spaces and park spaces. And I know that this project has been supported by other people. Did the architects actually donate their design time for this as well?
I haven't seen the total amount of their donation. They did all the preliminary work up until we got to architectural work. Now we are hiring it. But even that's being given to us at a significant savings.
Well,
Yeah.
my point is that it's the whole village concept that we're trying to pull together, including the architects, to support something. And I feel that we could support this as well, with the impact fee waiver, as being part of that village.
Further commission discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Friedman.
this again is an economic development category. I was at the first tournament when they had it up at the soccer field, and it was exciting to see people from all over the state. This is a big deal. We're gonna have the same situation with tennis courts of economic development. This is all private money that's raised for this, so we're doing, again, a very small portion of the whole thing. So it's a beautiful thing for the city.
Is there any public comment? Besides Chuck, any public comment? Now, Eric,
Yes.
I have a legal question for you, a procedural question. This was scheduled public comment. Usually we don't make decisions during scheduled public comment. In this case, is that a hard and fast statute, law, ordinance?
No, and we have in the past, like with the hoot and things like that, the
Okay, you're right.
fee waivers were requested and we did make and take action on those
Okay,
items.
so we are, I just wanted to clarify that. We can take action.
Yes, and I want to bring the commission's attention to something that Shannon Holmes just brought up to me. I've got the city code in front of me. I just think that you all should be aware that if there's a fee waiver request like this, our own ordinances say whenever any capital related fee is waived, the city commission shall direct that the waived fee be paid by the general fund or other appropriate fund or another appropriate fund. So essentially, we're waiving the fee, but the city itself is paying the fee on behalf of the LYS.
I've been here 6 years. That's the first time I've heard that one. We
Yeah,
haven't done that before.
It's section 2411.
Well, I believe you. I know you wouldn't be lying. Shannon, have we done that in the past with fee waivers?
Not since I've been in my position.
Yeah. No. Well, that's an interesting one. I never knew that before. Okay. Okay, well, we should be aware of that as well as the report on this decision. All right, is there there's no more public comment? There's no more commission discussion, or at least unless is there anyone that has some more discussion?
Where do the funds come from then? I mean, so basically they're reimbursing back to those departments what we would have collected in fees. And so what's a recommendation of where that would come from?
The general fund.
The general fund.
So it has to come from the general.
It has to come from, so
It would come straight out of general fund, most likely reserves.
And the departments refuse to take the money.
No.
Shannon?
No.
I'd have to ask Jesse on any money refusals.
Comment. I'd like to add to this, but I know there's, this is the third phase of this project that we've co-opted on with the city. And I don't recall this part of the discussion before when previous permitting fees and things were waived. So I just know it was done. I don't know what the mechanics were. Previous two phases.
And I think the clarification there is that the impact fees are building related, and there hasn't been any structures built.
Oh, it's only building waived fees.
It's the impact fees are tied to the building size
Okay.
and service sizes for sewer and water. That's how impact fees are calculated. So, the tennis courts, that construction, there were no impact fees involved in any infrastructure improvements like that. I think because it's related to the construction.
Okay. Well, we have our information. Is there a motion to move forward or not?
I make a motion to move forward.
Okay, so there's a motion by Commissioner Friedman.
One second.
There's a second by Commissioner Hoagland. Is there any other commission comment or discussion? Any other public comment? The only comment I have is when we get to budget season and we need to look at this expenditure, we just want to all be aware of where it's coming from and how it affects the reserves.
Certainly we can delineate it as a separate line item.
Thank you very much. Okay, roll call.
Chairperson Bennett,
Yes.
Commissioner Hoagland,
Yes.
Commissioner Friedman,
Or
Commissioner Sandberg,
or
motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dickerson. You have a great evening. All right, we're at the end of our agenda, but we do have city manager comments. Ms. Logan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would just like to mention that with the vacancy being announced and will be advertised beginning January 7th for the commission vacancy, I do have applications prepared that are available for pickup in the city offices beginning tomorrow morning. I also have some with me tonight, this evening.
Right, and where can they pick those up in the offices? Are right at that desk,
Right in the front desk.
that counter there? Okay. So they're not gonna be going into Lisa's office?
No, they can just come right into the main area and we'll all know where they are. We'll leave a stack, but if there's any
Sign
questions.
saying applications here with an
Big
arrow?
arrow. Sure.
All right, so it'll be very clear. Okay,
Thank you.
you're very welcome. All right, city commission comments. Commissioner Sanford.
I was just gonna ask Lisa, how many applications have we received for the city manager position so far?
In total, I believe as of around noon today, we are somewhere in the mid-30s, 36 or 37.
Wow.
Of the 36 or 37, there are 4 applicants who have prior city manager experience. And I'll prepare those packets for folks as well as information on preliminary background information that I've gotten on those folks so you all can make an informed decision as to whether or not they move forward in the process.
Great, thank you.
Commissioner Figman.
Yes, this could be an exciting year.
Certainly could.
That's it.
That's it? Okay. Commissioner Holtman.
I want to thank the Public Works for their awesomeness up on the hill with the water situation. It sounds like our proactive approach to it, which I'm all about being proactive and or, you know, as soon as we knew there was an emergency, we went to the people, started talking to them, and I think that's somewhat proactive in that if we, instead of waiting for people to get upset, we did a great job. Also, the police department had a tough weekend, and we all are sympathizing with the situation and feel for you and our community. And I wanted to acknowledge that. And also, our quick question, I guess. I'm on a couple boards, and I know since we're not deciding as to who's on what committee, are we just moving forward this month, continuing as we have? I just want to make sure we know that. And last thing is, I think there's a planning board position open, but I was hoping you check that and open it up for applications if needed. Because Adam was on, but Adam, I think he was a citizen on it. Or was it 2 commissioners on the planning
There were
board?
2 commissioners, Adam was one of them.
And the parks has 1 commissioner?
The Parks has 2.
No, I feel like one of those was a citizen. He was a citizen.
No, Chris was acting as a citizen. He was acting as a commissioner.
Is that?
What do you think, Mike? Was Adam on the parks as a commissioner too? I felt like one of those 2, he was actually
He
a
was a
citizen.
secretary on one of them.
Yeah,
Acting
okay.
secretary, but he was assigned there as a commissioner.
And I also think that if you wouldn't mind looking and then us opening it to applications, because I know that the planning board is short, and I don't know why. I know we lost some other people through the past, year or so, and so I want to make sure that we fill it a little bit because it's needed.
Sure, I can check on that in the morning and I'll send you an email just to verify.
All right. That's all.
All right. Just to one of the things I'd like to do is, in our packets, we've kind of gotten away from it, but as a procedural thing, under calendar of the events, it would be nice to start putting all the different events that the commission go to, like the meetings that they're, like transportation committee, city county meetings, those type of meetings that it'd be nice to get on the website calendar and this calendar as well. And that way it's a good reminder not only to the commissioners, but to the public, about which meetings one or more commissioners will be attending, or if they're interested in those particular ones.
And would that be all meetings or publicly noticed meetings?
It would be committee, all meetings. Yeah, it would be committee meetings and all publicly noticed meetings. Yes. And in that light, I'd just like to mention that there is a city-county meeting tomorrow afternoon at 4 p.m. January 6th at the MSU Extension Office on 3rd Street. And that is a publicly noticed meeting because all commissioners from the county and the city can and should attend if they can make it. After that meeting, I have a skate park meeting at 6 o'clock at the library. On Thursday, January 7th, myself and Commissioner Caldwell with the county will be meeting with Katie Weaver in regard to setting up that economic development meeting with the two commissions regarding all the different organizations we work with and support through economic development. So we'll be figuring out what date that can happen. On Saturday, January 9th, I'll be having my listening session at the Livingston Food Resource Center at 8:30 in the morning, 8:30 to 9:30. And on January 14th, there is a city-county compact meeting. And are we having those in the afternoon now? Is that 4 o'clock? Is it 2 o'clock? That's a committee that Commissioner Hoagland and I attend, and it's either at 2 p.m. or 4 p.m. We'll have to clarify that. 4 p.m. Used to be earlier. So just wanted to inform the public, just in case you have any interest in any of those.
What was the urban renewal or something else on Thursday?
There was an urban renewal meeting in this building. They weren't sure what room. At 5 p.m. this Thursday. We're going to talk about the bonding of the URA into the future.
That's Thursday.
That's this Thursday, I guess. And want to wish everyone a happy new year. Hope that it improves soon. What's that?
That's a question. Will you adjourn?
We're not adjourning yet.
Okay.
There is still public comment. Yeah, you guys are, you saved the best for last. So wishing you a happy new year. Want to thank all the city staff for stepping up in this, time of transition for us, and really appreciate all the hard work you guys are doing. And just keep it up. Know that the commission does appreciate all your efforts. So thanks a lot. Well, that's all I had to say tonight. And the best for last, public comment. Is there any public comment? If you have some, come on up.
Liz Curran, Enterprise, Mr. Bennett. I have a question. Earlier in the meeting, you took a motion and acted on your decision to postpone your appointing a chair and vice chair.
Yes.
So the item was not on the agenda. I have a question about making motions and taking action on items not on the agenda. Maybe that's for Mr. Carson.
Mr. City Attorney, want to address that?
Yeah, that's fine. If you want to give me a call, I can for sure answer the question for you. Yeah, I can give you a call tomorrow, because I have to call you back again about something else that you left me a message this afternoon, so.
Because it's a question.
Yeah.
Mr. Evinger.
Yeah, Bob Evinger, 128 South Yellowstone Street. A follow-up to your passing the guest house, Alomar, a letter of support saying that we're committing this money to the project. Probably since you are a subset of the City Commission, I would assume that should come from the City Commission. So I just wanted to make sure that that gets in the loop probably, I don't know, if Eric be doing that or whatever. Be nice to get that done sooner than later if possible. Am I right in assuming that you come from the city commission as opposed to the URA?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, that's one thing. And then I also want to thank Lisa. She's been our secretary at the URA for the last couple of months, and she's doing a great job. And I hope she can continue doing that for us. And you already talked about the special meeting. Be nice to know where it is sooner than later. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other public comment? All right.
First of all, Patricia Grable, 204 East Caledonia Street. I want to congratulate this commission and the new commissioners on your beginning of your journey here. We really appreciate your being here. I just want to quickly comment that I had said I videotaped that bonding session with the Livingston, and I had mentioned I would send it to you. I looked at it, I did the videotaping, so I turned the videotape sideways, and so the person is actually at times looking at the floor this way. But the content is there, so I will send you the link tomorrow morning, and so if you have any questions, you can fast forward and look at that whole bonding session with the Livingston if you wish. I apologize for my lack of skill. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other public comment tonight? Okay. Hearing none, I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. This meeting of the Livingston City Commission is adjourned at 8:57. No, 52.
That's why.